figure it the fuck out, and stay positive. Guys, what's up? Hey, in this video, I'm gonna give you some lessons learned from this last week on business and life that can really help you out with success in life. If you guys are just tuning in, I'm a former Army Ranger, and I went from a small little town in Northern California of like 300 people. Used to hunt bear as a kid, and then I became Spec Ops Ranger, an entrepreneur, and my life has just been completely transformed, guys. And I decided to put out I wanted to start vlogging, which is crazy to even say, to be completely honest. Like, I never thought growing up in the mountains I would ever say that I would start vlogging when I got older. It's crazy. But I wanted to start putting out these videos for you guys to help you with life success and business success. I have I've been fortunate enough to not only serve with some of the best people in the military, but be around some exceptional people in entrepreneurship. And you guys, by listening to this, what I'm hoping to do is give you guys some breadcrumbs to help you on your path to higher levels of success, okay? And this last week for me was crazy, okay? It was not a home run week. It was a FITFO week. FITFO is a term I picked up in the military. It stands for figure it the fuck out. And I had to manage, the normal shit, right? Business, life, training, family, friends, relationships, all of it. And it seemed like this last week, I don't know about you guys if you went through the same thing, but it seemed like this last week, there was so much around me that I couldn't control, like so much going sideways. Relationships, work stuff, training, and some things that happened to me this last week. Okay, I got put on a big podcast. This guy that had been on Ed Milet's show, he had me on, had me tell my story. What else? I got a shitty haircut, and I had to recover from that. The podcast thing, so basically the issue with the podcast was that I get on this show, this guy's big time, and I felt like I just blew it. Okay? Felt like I absolutely blew it. I had done podcasts before. Normally I'm on my A game, but I was defeated, and I felt like I blew it. The haircut, I go to get a haircut, and I got a good one now. I got it cleaned up. But as you can see, I got the burst fade, right? And so I got the burst fade, but the first haircut that I got, the guy didn't know exactly what he was doing, and one side was faded wrong, and it was faded differently than the other side. Small thing, but you guys know, if you guys are the guys out there, you get it. If you go to a barber, you're very particular about your barber, right? And it's like, once you have your guy, he's your guy, and you're loyal to him. But this guy, I don't know what happened. I was testing out a new barber, and I thought he was going to be good, but it just wasn't his day, or he wasn't that good. And I ended up walking out of there with my head looking like it was sideways. So I had that happened. Another thing, I did a content shoot down in Miami. That was a little bit of a grinder. Content shooting is always interesting because you put yourself out there, and you guys do this in your life, I'm sure. You put yourself out there, and you constantly judge yourself. I went down there thinking like my physique's not good enough. I should wait to do this podcast, or this content. And anyways, I went down there, I did the shoot anyways, and kind of just suspended the fear that I had of the judgment and my own self-judgment. And then the last thing was like this last week, I've been growing my business, my coaching business, which I help build the best you. That's what we do in one of my programs, The Table. Prices are $750 for 3 months, $1,300 for 6, and $2,000 for a year. Calls are on Saturdays. But I share that stuff because people come up and ask me all the time. I figure it's just better to tell everybody the prices and not, withhold that stuff. So anyways, point being is that I launched this program. I have this program where I help build the best you. And I teach all the personal development stuff that changed my life. I also teach fitness, nutrition, and mindset. Well, there's a lot of guys that are in my space of fitness coaching, mindset coaching, even though I don't relate to any of them, right? I was a ranger. I was an infantry officer. I think that being in the online space is actually kind of weird. Like, it's weird for me. You know, I was at war. I did 3 deployments to Afghanistan, 1 to Iraq, and now here I am creating a YouTube channel and sharing my shit. But anyways, I have this one program. It's called The Table. And so I constantly kind of look and see how everybody else is running their stuff, you know, because I want to do a good job. I really want to take care of my clients, and we get good results, but I always want to do better. So I'm looking and I start comparing a lot this week. You guys ever dealt with that, like constant comparison? And I'm so obsessive. Like, when I start comparing, I might not just compare once, I just compare a lot. You know, I just dive right in and I start really assessing whether or not the person that I'm looking at, if I can do better than them, or what I can do better in my own shit. But what happens when you compare that much is you really stop competing with yourself. You start competing with somebody else. You start playing their game and not yours. And so anyways, this last week I caught myself dealing with comparison, judgment, failure, and not meeting my own expectations. So it's just been a whirlwind of a week. And actually, I came out here. I'm in the spot in Florida. I came out to this spot because I wanted to give you guys a nice background. It's windy as hell, so I got the camera in my car right now to keep the wind out of the camera. And point being with all this is this last week was a grinder in business and in life, and it was just like one of those FITFO weeks. You had to figure it the fuck out. The Lambo's in the shop, so I came out here to the beach to give you guys a nice scenery. And I had to jump through some hoops to come out here, you know? We got family time and dinner that we could be doing. But this is important to me. I want to help you guys and help serve you. So that's what happened this last week. And I want to share the lessons that I learned in business and life going through these hurdles, these are like ordinary hurdles, right? But they can be big deals. Like, imagine you guys get a shot to go on either, maybe it's not a big podcast, but it's a big opportunity that could help catapult you to the next level of success. Imagine if you're going to go, maybe it's not a content shoot, but you're going to go do something, maybe it's speak in public or do public speaking, and you have fear of judgment. Or imagine you're going to go speak to your team and you're worried about how you're going to come off and how you're going to present yourself, and you're worried about the judgment from them, right? Or imagine, getting that shitty haircut and then still having, by the way, I got the shitty haircut and then I had the content shoot the following morning at 5 a.m. So I got the haircut the day before. I didn't know it was completely messed up until the morning, until I got back to the house. It was already late, and then I had the content shoot at 5 a.m. The only option was for me to fix it myself or wear a hat. So I had to wear a hat. And then I took some content without the hat on. But my point with all this is the lessons I learned this week were solid lessons, that can help all of us out in business and our life. Okay. And the first lesson that I learned this last week was like, hey, it's a reminder that success is not always sexy. Success is sloppy. Sometimes you gotta mess stuff up as you go, and you're gonna fail like a ton. Okay, you're gonna get the bad haircut. You're gonna do the content shoot and kind of be beating yourself up mentally. You're gonna do the podcast and mess up your story. You're gonna expect yourself to hit a home run that week, and you're gonna come up short. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's success. It's messy. It's sloppy. And you're gonna have to just clean that shit up as you go. So FITFO was a term that we used in the military, and that was what I want to give you guys this week. Okay, FITFO means figure it the fuck out. When you guys, maybe it's this next week ahead, okay? You have a tough week coming up. Maybe you have high expectations for yourself. Well, I want to remind you that no matter what happens, as you kick off this next week, to have the FITFO mentality. No matter what the fuck goes on, just figure it the fuck out and keep moving. FITFO. Figure it the fuck out. Because while success is messy and sloppy, success always success loves speed. So success is sloppy and messy, but success loves speed. So the quicker you move through all the mess ups, the failures, the issues, the challenges, the quicker you're going to get to that level of success that you're after. Now you do need to pursue excellence, right? We all have to pursue excellence. We can't keep being sloppy, but don't be afraid to, if you're messing up some shit, that's a good thing. So here are some additional lessons I learned from this last week that I want to give you guys. This is my computer right here. I got my notes on it. All right. So it was a tough week, right? Sometimes the problems that you encounter in a week come from blind spots that you didn't know that you had. Problems reveal your blind spots, right? Like when I jumped on that podcast and I realized I wasn't buttoned up with my story, that revealed a problem that I wasn't aware that I had. I thought I was buttoned up and I thought I was good. So in life, I think that we have the reason we have these blind spots is simply because we get so focused on where we want to go, it's hard to pay attention to everything. But when the problem occurs, you got two choices, right? You can FITFO, figure it the fuck out, solve the problem, or you can ignore the problem. It's very important that all of us don't ignore the problems in our lives. Because if you ignore the blind spot, what does that mean? If you don't realize that you have a blind spot, that means that you're leaving the blind spot open and you're subjecting yourself to a potential crash. You know, like in a car. Like if you have a blind spot in the car, you know the blind spot's there. That means you can kind of move your head and check the blind spot when you're in a situation like backing up the car or whatever. You can check the blind spot. But what if you don't ever check the blind spot? You just ignore it. Potentially gonna back into something and crash. So our blind spots, they give us problems, but really what they do is they help us prevent the crashes that are ahead. I wonder if this guy's gonna ask me to leave. All right. So the next thing, the next lesson I learned this week. When I was in Iraq at 20 years old, I had this friend, and he was like super tall. He was like 6'4". I'm 5'8", and so we used to pal around together. And he was from Pennsylvania, and we'd be walking around the desert, and I mean, sometimes you'd get a sandstorm that would hit, and you'd be coming back from the chow hall. Your weapon was slung. You're wearing your camo uniform, and you're walking along, eating with each other, or just got done eating, and then the sandstorm hits, and I mean, that thing, when a sandstorm hit in Iraq, if you guys have never been in one, it's crazy. Like, it comes at you like an orange cloud. And as it starts getting closer and closer, you're kind of like, oh shit, do I run from it? Do I go through it? What do I do? And the first time I went through one, I had no clue what to do, and it was brutal. I mean, you wear eye protection overseas, but your eye protection has gaps behind it right here. So as you're going through the sandstorm, the sand still gets in between your eyes and the glasses, and it gets into your eyes. So you basically, when you're trying to fight through a sandstorm, you got to keep your eyes squinted, and not only that, but you're going to breathe in the sand too. So you put your shirt over your mouth, and you just put your head down and try to push your way through the sandstorm. You figure it the fuck out. But my buddy that I used to hang with, whenever a sandstorm would hit or something that was negative that was going on in Iraq, like it could be anything. We could have had, I mean, there was times where we were doing work out in like 120 degrees in the heat. I mean, it was so freaking hot, man. You were just like so angry and pissed off, and you just didn't want to do any of the work. And this was back when I was an engineer. So imagine wearing your body armor, you have your weapon, your helmet, and you're out in the middle of Iraq on the roads doing engineer work, like basically fixing a hole, a crater that an IED created. That's one of the jobs that we used to have. I used to go out and we would find these holes where the IEDs had gone off, and we would fill them and make sure that they were good for traffic to drive across. So, there's a lot of reasons why, like when we were over there's a lot of reasons to be pissed off while we worked. Whether it was a sandstorm, whether it was being out in the heat trying to fix a crater, or shit, I don't know, maybe we were just like at a shitty outstation and the food sucked. Like, I remember we were at this one place, it was Camp Warhorse, and we were just eating, the food, bro, they had like these, what do you call them, okras. They had okra at this duty station, or this fob, and the okra was like super slimy and shit, like it was disgusting. And they gave us for breakfast, we got like, we were mostly eating MREs, but we got like one hot meal a day while we were out there. And they would give us like one for breakfast or something. If it was breakfast that we got that day, we'd get like one sausage link and a little spoonful of eggs. And that was like a treat, And then we were eating MREs the rest of the time. So we would be out at duty stations like that, just have all the reason in the world to bitch and gripe and complain. We'd be in sandstorms with all the reason to bitch and gripe and complain. We'd be in the heat with all the reasons to bitch and gripe and complain. Or on convoys, driving in the heat for hours and hours and hours. Like, I remember this one, I had to drive for like 8 hours, and I had to pee the moment I left the gate. And for some reason, I could never get myself in position to pee into a bottle, because that's what we used to do. And every time I tried to pee into a bottle, it would the pee would cut off. And so I was just stuck with this pain of peeing for hours inside of the convoy. And for 6 hours, I think, or something like that. I went from Spiker all the way up to basically the north end. I forget the name of the base, but it was like a 7-hour convoy drive. So anyways, we had plenty of reasons to bitch and gripe and complain. And I remember my buddy, every time I started bitching and complaining, he would look over at me and he would be like, Sullivan, hey bro, is your attitude worth catching? And I was like, what? And he used to say this shit to me. He would say, attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? And he always maintained a positive attitude when we were figuring it the fuck out. So that was one of the lessons from this last week. Is as life is going sideways on you, figure it the fuck out. But also ask yourself, is your attitude worth catching? Because attitudes are contagious. Just because shit is going south in your life, or shit is going bad in your life, your girl left you, your work, like maybe you're having pay issues, you're in between jobs, or your business isn't producing revenue, and you're just stressing out because all these things that you can't control right in this moment are uncontrollable and they're pissing you off. Check your damn attitude. Figure it the fuck out and fix the attitude. We can be positive while shit's going south. We can be positive while things are not going in our favor. And that's one of the things that I was learning this last week, reminded of, is that regardless of what's going on in my life, I can still be positive and have an attitude that's worth catching. All right. The last thing that I want to mention here is on comparison. All right. So in your life, you're going to compete. You're going to try to go do something great, right? And you're going to look around at other people and you're going to start comparing yourself to their progress. You don't even know how long they've been doing it or what results they're actually getting. You're just making assumptions. You're going to start comparing yourself against them. Okay? And what's going to end up happening is you start comparing yourself against somebody else so much, you're going to start falling in and becoming a side character in their movie. Right? When you focus so much on somebody else's life, you're basically making them the star and you not. But you're the star of your movie. Okay? And so it's really easy when you start comparing to get trapped in somebody else's movie. Don't fall into that trap. Okay? Make sure you're writing your own movie. Make sure you remember that you're the star. It doesn't matter what the fuck they're doing. You can study them. You can pull out a strategy or two from them. But their movie's not your movie. You're writing your own damn movie. So don't fall into the trap of living in theirs. You're the main star, all right? So don't fall into the trap of falling into somebody else's movie, okay? last final note. I know I said that was the last one, but here's the very, very last one. Last one is that as shit's going sideways for you, all right? And you're trying to figure out who to maybe ask for advice, and you're trying to figure out how to navigate it all and figure it the fuck out. You're gonna like lean on a lot of people. You're gonna value a lot of other people's opinions, because when you're going through a tough time, like, fuck, man, it's easy to kind of think you don't know what the hell you're doing and everybody else does. All right. I remember in Afghanistan, I was gonna go hit this objective, and I really wanted to take one of the machine guns, the Mark 48. But I valued the experience of my platoon sergeant, and he wanted to take the machine gun. He wanted the Mark 48 for his objective. And I said, all right, you know what? I value your experience over mine. You take it, because I think you need it more than I do based off of what you're saying. I didn't trust myself. He took it to his objective. I went down to mine without one. Well, when I got down to my objective, we got into a nice little gunfight, nice little firefight, and I wish I would have had that machine gun. I wish I would have had the Mark 48. People were almost killed down there because we didn't have it, okay? But at the same time, maybe he did need it up at his. But either way, I learned a lesson that day. I learned that when shit is going sideways, when shit is difficult, when you're trying to figure out who to listen to, you need to listen to yourself. Okay? The person that you can trust during times of adversity is you. You are the person that has the most information. You are the person that has the most experience with the situation leading up into where you're at. And if you don't value your own perspective, you value everybody else's. And in that case, you're falling into the trap of living somebody else's movie once again. Guys, when things are tough, trust you. Trust in your judgment. And figure it the fuck out. Hey, that's all that I got for today, guys. Remember these lessons. If you like these lessons learned, tell me down in the comments, because I'm committed to the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday releases that I've been doing, the motivational ones and the military stories and stuff. The weekly vlogs, I'm kind of 50-50 on. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them. And if you guys tell me down below you want me to keep them, basically where I give you a weekly update, I share some lessons or whatnot on business, life, leadership. I just want to know if you guys want me to keep them. And if you do, what type of content do you want me to keep talking about on the once a week vlogs? All right, that's all I got for you guys. We'll see you on the next one. FITFO, figure it the fuck out, keep a positive attitude, conquer all.